Let's watch some sights and sounds from Qatar. And then when we come back, Nana Kwekwajimai, he is a sports analyst. He'll be joining us. I also have Kojo Chumbuafo. He is very passionate about sports. Never mind, he's a politician, but he's very passionate about sports. He's got some very interesting views to share on this one as well. And then Michael Odro, our own reporter, sports reporter here at Metro, will be coming to us live from the hotel where the Black Stars are camped. So stay tuned. Let's watch this.
This is the worst fundamental disease coach we have in this country, in this tournament, because we have been going tournaments with one coach with assistant. We did well, but this one 10 coaches
21 back
10 coaches. Otoado, Didi Draman, George Boateng, Chris Hughton, and Olele.
Olele is on it, yeah.
5. That's 5. Then the scout coach. There be 4. Somewhere. That's the goalkeeper. Then get a Kreku in team in coach. Then Ignatius, Ibrahim Danko. No, how many coaches?
9. Oh, 5 plus 5 is 10. Okay, so we have more.
I'm president. No.
Then why you bring these great coaches? No food, no water. Right now, tobacco and for more. We are crying, go home. We are crying, go home. Jeffrey Shop is there. You didn't even see Baba Rahman. That guy, they don't mention it. Thank you for the word so sweet.
Thank you for the.
Well, that's a very popular man. It's called Langabell, popularly known as Langabell. He's always with the Black Stars team everywhere they go in any of the games or the tournaments that he attend. He's always there. He's been with the team according to for more than 20-something years. And so, well, he knows the team quite well. You saw him narrate his ordeal and what he makes of why the Black Stars did failed to shine. We can now speak to Nana Kwekwajimai, and let's hear what he has to say about his assessment of how the Black Stars fared yesterday, what he believes went wrong, and how he believes we can fix it. Nana Kwekwajimai, salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Well, it is always a pleasure talking. I'm doing very well. Thank you very much, sir. It's always a pleasure having you on the show. So, I don't know where to start, but did you see this coming?
You don't know where to start.
Yeah, I don't know where to start. But did you see this coming?
No, I didn't. I was actually very confident that we would win this match because having watched both of the matches Uruguay played and noting that they weren't able to score a single goal and looking at their stats in terms of defense, distribution, attack, and even discipline, I thought, no, there's no way we're going to lose to them at all, because when I considered the stats, we were above them in almost every aspect of the game. And they were desperate for a win. We were seeking a draw off the back of a very impressive win against South Korea. So to be perfectly honest with you, I believe that we would be able to score at least 3 goals, because one of the changes I've noticed were that we'd scored about 4 or 5 goals, and they were taken by different players. So although Inaki Williams hadn't scored, we still had the ability to score from the midfield and defense. So I was more than very hopeful, more than optimistic. I mean, it's unusual for me, Moro. I was really convinced that things had changed in the camp and that we were going to perform well and take Uruguay out of the competition. Unfortunately, where we went wrong was when I saw the lineup at about 5 minutes past 2. When I saw that Tariq Lamptey wasn't going to play, when I saw that Gideon Mensah wasn't going to play, and that we'd adopted a similar strategy to the strategy we had adopted in our very first match when we faced the Portuguese. where we set up a lineup that would be there to absorb wave after wave of Portuguese attack. And you can't do that for 90 minutes without conceding goals. It's just not possible. Not even Brazil can do that. And that game really told us something about the mindset of Otuado and how defensive minded he was being. I was even in shock that the gurus who run the Ghana Football Association would even allow him to use that type of lineup because
Okay.
effectively
All right,
we had a goalkeeper.
All right,
Yes?
all right, Nana, I'd like to beg of you, don't go anywhere. Please stay there. I want to speak to Michael Ojo briefly. He's actually in the hotel where the Black Stars are camped to gauge the mood amongst the team and the technical handlers and the managers of the team. So, Nana, please don't go anywhere. Please stay there. Let's quickly speak to Michael, and then I'll come back to you, sir. All right. Michael
Okay.
Odro, good morning, and good to have you on the show. What can you tell us about what's happening currently in the camp of the Black Stars?
Yes, currently, it's a sad situation as expected. Following the exit of the team from the FIFA World Cup, we went into the game against Uruguay and a draw could have qualified us for the round of 16 stage. Unfortunately, we couldn't salvage that result and suffered a 2-0 loss, meaning that the Black Stars exit the tournament. Here in the camp of the Black Stars, yesterday we stayed here till very late, till about 3:30 a.m. Qatari time, which should be about 12 midnight in Ghana. Interacting with some of the players themselves, some of them disappointed, thought that the performance they put up should have sealed us through to the next round of the competition. There are others that also feel that it is a young team with a lot of prospects and that given the right technical direction on the back of coach Otuado's exit and consistency, the team has the potency to go to Cote d'Ivoire and do well. So it's mixed feelings here. Generally, they are disappointed that they couldn't make it to the round of 16, especially when they look back and they see the sort of support Ghanaians have rallied behind them. Those that are settled here in Qatar, those that traveled all the way from Ghana to Qatar to rally massive support behind the team, and those that back home back them with their prayers, their well wishes, and all of that. They thought that yesterday was a night where they could have brought smiles to the faces of the many Ghanaians that supported them wholeheartedly. But unfortunately, it turned out to be the other way. And if you are close to these players, you know that they are professionals. They are quick to leave defeat behind them, get to rise, and get back to work. So from last night, it was a sad situation. The euphoria in the Ghana camp has been a very solemn one up until this morning, where you hardly even see some of the guys come down, but they are here preparing to leave. A number of them will leave for their respective clubs in Europe, most of them. Two have already left camp as we speak. Antoine Semenyo has already left for London. Osman Bukari also left just this morning to join his club for the miniature preseason. That's Kremnas Festa. So, but apart from these two, the rest of the team, the remaining 24 players here. And what even broke the many hearts of the players was when at the head of the announcement, the coach made at the post-match conference that he was not continuing with the team. He had given earlier indications before the tournament, but many thought that looking at how promising the team looks, he would have stayed on with this team and ensured that there was a bit of consistency in the technical direction and also within the playing body. But unfortunately, to their surprise, they got back to the hotel only to hear that the coach had announced his exit at the post-match conference.
Wow, but Michael, you tell us that the players were shocked to hear that Coach Otuado had resigned. Is it a timing or the knowledge of the fact that he said he will resign anyway, regardless of how the game pans out or turns out or plays out?
Yeah, he had, like I said earlier, he had given indications before the tournament that regardless of the outcome, whether we win the tournament, whether we exited at the group stage, whether we made the semi-final appearance for the first time, he was not going to continue with the Black Stars. He wants to stay and develop more at Dortmund. But I mean, as human as he is, he's prone to changing his mind. I mean, it's not something that he cannot go back on. And so they were expecting that maybe at the end of the tournament, he would have rescinded the decision to leave. And even if he was going to announce it, they thought that the timing was so quick that even we were close when some FA officials were told that the coach had made that announcement, and they were shocked themselves. Perhaps they thought that the series of meetings, because this morning as we speak, there's been a management committee meeting, there's been a meeting with the technical team, and then the team is now, there's now the general meeting, the players, the technical team, and then the rest of the contingent are having a general meeting. And we understand that they will be addressing the press around 3 p.m. Qatari time. So I'm sure that the players and the officials expected that all of these meetings will take place before they find possibly a very nice way to announce the exit of Otuado. But at a point where the defeat has come in, and many Ghanaians are worried, sad mood, and all, and then we get to hear that the process he's leaving, and that was not even up to an hour after the game. This was minutes after the game, and I'm sure that is what brings about the surprises to the players and to some officials of the team.
Now, you know, yesterday's game, and that's perhaps my last but two questions. But yesterday's game was generally seen as one of those games where the Black Stars lacked a sense of urgency. There was no hunger to win. It was almost as if there was nothing at stake. They were very lethargic. They were losing all the 50-50 balls. Something fundamentally went wrong with the Black Stars yesterday. I mean, you have been interacting with perhaps some of the players, some of the officials, whoever. What sense, what vibe are you getting? What information are you getting as to why the Black Stars played the way they did yesterday?
I think that it is difficult for any of the members of the team to point out what clearly went wrong. But from observation, I think it's more of a psychological issue. You know that we have a history with these Uruguayans, where we had the opportunity to win the game back in 2010 from a late penalty shootout, late penalty, and then Asamoah missed on that occasion. And so going into this game, look, the guys were very confident. They had a positive attitude. They were ready to die. Perhaps they were affected by the early penalty miss. And if you have monitored the history of Ghana, it has been very difficult for us to recover from penalty misses. And going into a game like this where we had history with Uruguay, the penalty miss, and how we went ahead to lose the penalty shootout, I thought that psychologically we should have worked on the players in all of these directions. And the team has always had a psychologist attached to the team, but whenever it matters most, we always seem to lack psychologically. We always do not seem to have a psychological edge, and that is where you question the impact of these psychologists. And I think that we just couldn't recover from the early penalties. And minutes after that miss, we considered two quick goals. And that is something that has really affected us in this tournament. Against Portugal, the scored first, we equalized. And in a matter of 3 minutes, we had considered two goals. It happened against South Korea when we were up by 2 goals to 0 in the first half. In the second half, in a matter of 3 minutes, they have scored two quick goals. And again against Portugal, this time rather in the first half, after the penalty miss, we conceded two goals within minutes and could never recover until very late in the second half. But unfortunately, the chances that came our way, we will not be able to convert them, and then we'll go ahead to lose the game by 2 goals.
Right. How is Andre? Are you? I'm wondering how he feels at this minute. Great chap. Unfortunately, things didn't work out for him yesterday. Have you seen him? Has his mood? Is he okay?
Yeah, yesterday I personally spoke to him off air because throughout the tournament, he's one person who is really open up to us especially myself and my crew. Anytime we usually come to the team hotel a day before Ghana matches to get some exclusives from the hotel, and he has always come closer to us. Yesterday after the game, I didn't see him around, but I think 2 hours later, he came and walked straight to me, came to shake me, hug me, and then he said that, oh, he understands that it's part of the game. It's disappointing if he had scored from the spot. He thought that it would have boosted the confidence of the players, but unfortunately, he missed from the sport and could not. I mean, it's such misses is difficult to redeal with him, but he understands that it's part of the game. Sometimes things go well, sometimes generally as an individual and collectively as a team, things do not go the way you wish. But he has no regrets taking that penalty at all. We have heard some point that oh another person should have taken it. And the team is according to the team is structured. When penalty comes, they know the first choice taker, the second choice, the third. Is in that order. So I mean, he is responsible for taking shootouts in the team, and as captain of the team, and as one responsible for taking shootouts at that crucial time, he couldn't have stood aside for another person to take it. He scored several times from the spot, so it's rather unfortunate that this time he
Okay.
could not put the ball in the back of it. But I'm sure that he's gotten it right. Yesterday he was okay, and quickly they are looking beyond the World Cup and thinking about how to make an impact at the next Africa Cup of Nations in January of 2024. And from all indications, he is so poised to leading the team. He personally told me that he will go to Cote d'Ivoire, and after Cote d'Ivoire, he will look at his energy level. If he still thinks he's got the strength to continue, he will continue with the Black Stars. If after Cote d'Ivoire, he looks back and says that the soul is willing, but the body is weak, then he will call his time with the Black Stars.
Okay. All right, Michael, I want to thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's been great talking to you, sir.
My pleasure.
That's Michael Odruis with the Ignites Media sports team. He's been talking to us from the hotel from Qatar where the Black Stars team are camped. The GFA itself has issued a statement, but before that, let me come back to Nana Kweku Ajimai to continue from where he left off. Nana, you were actually explaining to us, giving us a professional and a technical assessment of yesterday's game. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, what I was saying is basically, we were set up to fail.
Okay.
And that was what happened in the first game, because you've got one goalkeeper, you've got 5 defenders, you've got 2 defensive midfielders. So effectively, 8 players are defenders. 8 players. Then we had Kudus and Ayew, and then a lone striker in Inaki Williams. You're playing against the Portuguese. You're playing a match that you want to win. How do you win with that type of mindset? You can't. It's been shown that you just can't. Against South Korea, it was totally different. Totally different. We brought in Tariq Lamptey. We brought in Gideon Mensah because we knew what they provide down the flanks. We recognized that the Koreans could run all day, all night. If the whistle wasn't blown, they'd still be running in that match because they're so fit. But we tried to counter that by having 2 wing backs who would be motoring up and down the park. It worked for us, despite the fact that we conceded 2 goals within a few minutes, a lack of concentration, and we were able to take it. Now, as I was saying, before the Uruguay match, I was really confident because, the team was now beginning to take shape. This was more like the team that we should put out there. 2:05, and the team announcement comes out, and I see that Gideon Mensah has dropped for Baba Rahman. Tariq Lamptey is dropped for Siedu. And I'm thinking, how? How? And it's back to that original mindset that we had when we faced Portugal. Now we're looking at, several players just, doing defensive duties, leaving Inaki Williams up front who hasn't had any service for all 3 games. All 3 games. He hasn't had any service. We don't understand how to serve him. He also doesn't understand how we play the game here and what have you. And, you know, the game changed the moment we missed the penalty. The game totally changed. And I agree with Michael. There is something wrong with our mentality. It's totally warped. Seriously, totally warped. Because instead of thinking about the game, here we are talking about whether or not Suarez should apologize, da, da, da. I didn't even realize it was 12 years. The guy was a youngster then. He's an old man now. Up until that point, he'd only played 1 game. He'd only played about 80 minutes. We were now focusing on whether or not he should apologize, what he did and this and that and blah. I mean, our mindset, I just don't understand this sometimes. Go into the game, think about the qualification, play your way through and qualify, and instead we're talking gobbledygook. For what? So we've gone out there with a defeatist mindset. The coach is set up basically to fail once again. And as I was saying, I'm surprised all these gurus, these football gurus who are out there, allowed that to happen for the second time. I was surprised the first time, but I'm even more surprised the second time. The moment I saw the lineup, I thought, no, there's going to be problems here. There's going to be problems because we are now setting up ourselves to absorb attacks from the Uruguayans who have shown throughout the competition that they were totally useless. And so we gave them some validity and they came at us. And as soon as the penalty miss occurred, within 3 minutes, 4 minutes, we were 2-0 down. And there was no way back. The coach took too long to respond in terms of making the appropriate substitutions, because we should have made substitutions then. Like 5 minutes after we conceded and the team settled back down, we should have made some substitutions then. He waited until halftime. He took off the brothers. I guess there were loud cheers for that. But it was too much, too little, too late. Too late. It was absolutely too late. And then straight after he announces he's going back to Germany, I've told you all before that I don't know of any serious country who would appoint someone on a part-time basis to manage their senior national team. I don't know of any serious country who would do that. Because for me, it's unheard of. It's totally unheard of. But that's what we did. And even when people or a person within the GFA, I think it was a guy called Adu again, I can't remember his name, even when he remarked about the fact that the coach was doing a part-time stint, he was slapped down publicly, he was rebuked publicly by the GFA president, who now declared that no one should talk anything negative about the Ghana Black Stars. It's just like the president said, Sika Mpedede. You know, no one should talk anything. You know, our contribution wasn't considered. If you critique constructively, you are considered to be someone who's negative. You don't want the best for the Ghana Black Stars. But now the chickens have come home to roost. They've come home to roost because this man, immediately as he came to the press conference, 1-2, 1-2, okay, I'm going back to Germany. His mind has been never focused on this job 100%. Never been focused on this job. He has always been thinking about Dortmund. That's his main thing. Dortmund. Now he's gone. He's collected his 200,000 appearance fees plus his salary. Thank you very much, sir. And he's gone. Right? And we're done for as well. Now, people talking about the future needs to be a future where GFA gurus don't interfere. Because I was told confidentially that Otuado only had the opportunity to select 20 players and that 6 of those players are.
Sorry about that. Yeah, just when enjoying the submission by Nanaku Kwajumain, a UEFA licensed coach and a sports pundit, on what he makes of what happened to the Black Stars. We lost him will try and get him back on to complete or to finish off what he started. But yeah, he's not been happy about the fact that the Coach Otoado, has not been fully focused on the job. He's been a part-time coach, and just to cement her suspicions about his full commitment to the job, he talks about the fact that just minutes after the game that he's going back to Germany and to Dortmund. Yes, Nana, welcome back.
So thank you. So, he's never been focused 100% on the Black Stars. He's always been focused on his Dortmund job. And as I said, no serious FA, no serious country would ever take a coach on a part-time basis. I remember before he was selected, and don't get me wrong, I want our senior national teams and our national teams to be managed by Ghanaians. Don't get me wrong. I want that, right? But, before he was appointed, I made a case for her. And, I knew that Herb Renard was talking about $120,000. And I said to the FA, look, offer him 100,000. Offer him 100,000 and let him come and work. We've seen what he's done with Saudi Arabia. We've seen his handprints on Saudi Arabia. And if he was appointed here and not interfered with, because I know he wouldn't even stay if he was interfered with, we would have something much better to talk about this morning. It's so unfortunate. It's unbelievable. We went to this tournament as the least ranked to win anything. And out of the African contingents, it's exactly the case. It's exactly the case. I mean, it's so unbelievable. But, I always tell you the challenges that we face are much deeper than just this situation. Because look, we were saying kudos to the world and, a star is born. And we're probably right. But I want you to know this, that kudos has come from a football academy that has got nothing to do with the Ghana Football Association. It didn't participate in any of the GFA competitions, the league, the FA Cup, or anything like that. They kept themselves away from GFA competitions, and they've produced no less than about 7 players that have all gone to the Ghana Black Stars. We have played no role in developing them at all, none whatsoever. And at the end of the day, all we've done is, while we're talking up our league is good, our league is good, our league is good, we've recruited everybody from abroad. And then the one player or 2 players, well, we know Danlad couldn't get a game anyway, but the one player who could have come on and played, Barnier, we didn't even give him a run out. We didn't even let him play, right? And I mean, it's just so disgusting. Then people will turn around and tell you our league is good. Our league can't be good because the players that we're hailing, and I can name them, Kudus, Waris, Kamal Soa, Kamaldeen, Suleiman, David Akam, Yao Yeboah, we didn't produce them. Right to Dream Academy produced them. An academy that has nothing to do with our GFA organized competitions at all. We didn't produce them. You look at Wafa, Harrison Affle, Christiana Chu, even Mohammed Salisu. I mean, we're joking. You go down to Pram Pram, where we say we have our school of excellence. There, I need to just hire some bulldozer and just go down there and mow the place down because it's a joke. It's a joke. It doesn't serve any collective purpose at all. And we've got to go back to the basics. When you get FIFA Gold project money, don't put it in your belly. Put it in the project. Because if we'd put that money in the project, we'd have proper facilities there. Potentially, we could have started our own academies from the under 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, etc., etc. But we have nothing to show. Some dilapidated buildings on some wasteland that we call some school of soccer excellence. We're jokers. We're jokers. All we're interested in is agency, 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 agency. That's all. That's all.
gosh, I don't know. But, no, I don't know. But I don't know whether we should take a break now. But I was just going to ask you what you think the way forward should be. And, you've been talking about way forward for decades. So I don't know what the way forward again is there. But now, where do we go from here? I mean, there's already talk about, look, I've even heard some people say that Coach Otto Addo should be recalled. He's learned some useful lessons. This is his first time coaching a national team. And that we're quick to sack our coaches anytime they do not perform. There's all kinds of things. Some say Chris Hughton should take over. There's talk about Derek. There's talk about what's the name of this other the assistant coach? Something Boateng. I've forgotten the first name.
Derek Boateng.
Yeah,
George Boateng.
George Boateng,
George
exactly.
Boateng.
There's already talk about George Boateng taking over, etc., etc. Should that be the thinking now, or what do you think we should be doing almost immediately?
Well, we need a new coach, don't we? Because we don't have a coach.
Right.
And a technical team, all of their contracts expire at the end of this month. All their contracts expire. So there'll be no technical team at the end of this month. And we're walking into AFCON next year. We're going to walk into AFCON. I don't know what they're going to do. Whatever they're going to do, it looks like it's going to be temporal again, to me. It looks like it's going to be temporal. Because we really have to rethink the whole thing. We have to rethink our football. Our football isn't where it's supposed to be. African football isn't where it's supposed to be. The investment required to develop African football is not available. And when FIFA give us money, we'll use 2/3 for infrastructure and 1/3 for bellyomics. I mean, I really don't know. Okay. But in terms of the personnel, I think some players need to call time, especially after this AFCON. Some players need to call time. We can't keep calling the same old players and they're doing the same old things and what have you. There are some players, because, for me, Andre he's a player who his heart is on his sleeve, right? But when your time is up, your time is up. I don't know what's wrong with our players. They never want to retire. Even when they're 50, they're still saying, yeah, we can still play. You can't play. Do something else. The industry is big. Dede is playing, you are playing in Qatar. We've seen the level of the Qatari league. Look at they're the host. We've seen what they do, right? So it's quite clear to me that when he's playing football in Qatar, and our journalists are saying he scored 2 goals, he scored 3 goals. It's walking pace football. It's at a walk and sometimes at a trot. You break sweat because the temperature is high, nothing else. But he'll be our captain, because we're not interested in form. When we go to select, I've spoken to you for years about selection criteria. We're not interested in form. Players who had form, like Joseph Painstill, like Jeffrey Schlupp, like Majid Ashimiru, like Bernard Tekpete, you left them. You left them, and they had form better than some of the players that you'd selected. Why? Well, we are even told that Joseph Painstill wasn't selected because of non-footballing reasons. Are we serious? Non-footballing reasons, like he eats yogurt after 7 p.m., so we won't call him. Please, all these foolishness must stop. And, the fact of the matter is that, when we're really going to get some respite from this is when you clear out all the football people, because they're all the same. They're all the same. You look at all our clubs and they're all the same. All the same. We need a massive clear out. And I say to the younger boys who are involved, who are around there, and they say a lot on WhatsApp, they don't have the balls to challenge these people. They don't have the balls. They don't have the guts.
Okay.
We need new people in there with new ideas who have no connections to agencies, who just want to see our football, progress and continue progressing. We need those type of people there. People who are not concerned about their self-interest. That's what we need to be there. Because that, for me, is the only way forward.
All right. Nanokwe Kwajima, thank you so very much for talking to us this morning. It's always a pleasure. Now, when I come back, I'll be speaking to Kojo Chumbuafo. He's got some very interesting thoughts to share as well. I'm talking about Kojo Chumbuafo, formerly with the Ghana Free Zones Board. You know, he's very passionate about soccer. And so you just stay tuned in. I'll be right back.
Me, I will say, this is the worst fundamental disease coach we have in this country, in this tournament. Because we have been going tournaments with one coach with assistant. We did well. But this one, 10 coaches.
21 back reserves.
10 coaches. Otoado. Didi Draman. George Boateng.
Chris Hutton.
Chris Hutton. And Olele.
Olele is on it, yeah.
5.
That is 5. Then the scout coach.
Yes.
There be 4. Somewhere. Woodward. That's the goalkeeper. Then get a Kreku in team. In coach.
Yeah.
Then Ignatius. Ibrahim Danko. No, how many coaches?
9.
Oh, 5 plus 5 is 10. Okay, so we have more.
I'm president. No.
Then why you bring these
Vice
coaches?
president.
No food, no water. Right now, tobacco and pour more. We are crying, go home. Jeffrey Shop is there. You didn't even see Baba Rahman. That guy, they don't mention it. Thank you for the word so sweet.
Thank you for the.
Me, I will say,
Junior Scout.
this is the worst fundamental disease coach we have in this country, in this tournament. Because we have been going tournaments with one coach with assistant. We did well. But this one, 10 coaches.
21 back reserves.
10 coaches. Otoado. Didi Draman.
George
Boateng.
Chris Hutton.
Chris Hutton. And Olele.
Olele is on it, yeah.
5.
That is 5. Then the scout coach.
Yes.
There be 4. Somewhere. Woodward. That's the goalkeeper.
All right. Well, that's a popular Langa Bell. Now, let's quickly do this. Mr. Kojo Chumbuafo has joined us now quickly to talk about, to share his perspective on what he makes of the Black Stars' performance in Qatar. Mr. Kojo Chumbuafo, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Mo. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, sir. So what are your thoughts?
Well, it's a disaster, isn't it? It's a disaster. It's unfortunate. Michael and Nana are gone. Well, maybe it would have been good if we could have had an interaction. But I had said in your studios prior to the selection of the team, when it was, we're getting snippets that Joseph Pencil and Jeffrey Schlupp were going to be dropped, that it was not going to augur well for the team to drop your best left-sided player by a country mile and drop Joe Pencil. Because yesterday, at a time when you needed creativity, at the time when Andrea Yu had to be substituted, you needed a Joe Pencil. We conceded 7 goals in 3 matches. 4 of the goals came directly from Baba Rahman's inability to defend properly. Indeed, in one of the instances, I think it's even in the Portugal match, the ball went through his legs. Look, Nana was talking in general terms. I'm going to be very specific here, because I had said in your studio that there is a perception, and it's a perception among many Ghanaians, that players like Baba Rahman have godfathers in the FA management. That's the reason why they're still playing ahead of players who are ostensibly better than them. And that's the result we have. You see, playing for the national team varies directly, it's directly proportional to form. And nobody in his right mind can tell me that Baba Rahman is a player who is ahead of Jeffrey Sloop. Unless you don't watch football. Jeffrey Sloop is a player who has played 268 Premier League games. He was part of the Leicester team, the almost Leicester team of unknowns that won the Premier League in 2015. He plays day in, day out for the same team that Jordan Ayew plays for. So if you call Jordan Ayew, why didn't you call him? The press allowed the coach to get away with saying that those two players know why he didn't call them. Well, why didn't you call them? Why didn't you call them? And the reason why he didn't call them is because he himself was complicit in a scandal to make sure that certain players get into the team ahead of other players who have ability. And he knows it. That's the reason why he's run away. That's the reason why he will not answer any questions. Why didn't you ask Michael where Otoado is? Otoado has left Qatar. He's on a plane to Germany as we speak. You see, we cannot keep allowing
But sorry,
of players who play for the national team.
Yeah, sorry, Kojo,
to be at the behest of certain godfathers who do exactly what they want with complicit coaches. So let me ask the question again. Who in his right mind will not take a player like Joseph Painsil to the World Cup? Belgium took teammates of Joseph Painsil, like Alderweireld and Vertonghen and others who are in their mid-30s to the World Cup. And we didn't take Joe Painsil. In that disastrous AFCON that we had, who was our best player? Was it not Joe Painsil? And to an extent, Alexander Djiku. So why didn't we take Painsil? They make excuse after excuse after excuse that Jeffrey Sloop has done this, Jeffrey Sloop has done that, Jeffrey Sloop. And the real reason is that somebody somewhere must maintain the use of Baba Rahman in the left back position. That's it. Let's not skirt around it. Let's not beat around the bush. The disaster has already happened. That's exactly why there's you people asked the boy to come to Ghana. He got to the airport, there was no ticket. He got upset and went home. Now, if it was you, Moro, or any of us, will we not be upset? So excuse after excuse after excuse have been made to make sure the guy. But the real reason is that Baba was played. And I also heard Michael saying something bizarre that Andre Ayew said he's going to lead the team to Cote d'Ivoire. Is he really serious? Is he serious after what happened yesterday? Let me put it on record. Our captain, Andre Ayew, and the deputy captain, Thomas Partey, were the worst players in this World Cup. They were absolutely the worst players in this World Cup. Dede Ayew is old. He doesn't have the running legs. Every time the team was in transition, he would turn around. Guys would say, "Bad boy, and come back and delay the transition of the team. Then you go and stand there at a time when the nation's hearts and our emotions were on your foot. You go and miss the penalty. And the reason why he missed the penalty was that he was very nervous. Look at the interlude between the time the coach, the referee whistled and the time it took the day you to take the penalty. So if you were that nervous, why didn't you allow the best penalty taker in the team, who is Jordan Ayew, to take the penalty? Or We knew that the form player in the team was Kudus. Kudus got the penalty. So why didn't you let Kudus take the penalty? But no, because in the Black Stars, there is a race for glory. I have had a certain number of caps. So my caps should keep in so that I have the record. I'm competing with my father's record and I'm competing with someone. You know something? It is time to move Andre Ayew on. And I don't know how else to say it. Because Ghanaians don't like the truth. But it is time for somebody to sit Andre Ayew down and tell him you should retire from the national team. You are not going to Cote d'Ivoire. End of story. That team needs a new direction. If Kudus is the star player in the team, let's build the team around Mohamed Kudus and other players who can. We've had exciting new discoveries, like Salis. Like Salis Ahmed. Look, and even Salis was included in the team because there was a lot of pressure on social media to include him. The coaches were pretending like they hadn't seen him playing for long. You see, at this point, we are all hurting. And we cannot keep allowing the decisions of a selfish and greedy few to keep going on and on. This conundrum has been going on and on and on, and it doesn't change. More, as I speak to you, there are certain elements in the FA, right? I have heard it. I'm sure you have heard it. Who are trying to change the constitution of the FA at the next Congress to get rid of term limits. Why? Why? Isn't it corruption revisited? Are we going to build another Nyantechi? But this is what is going on. This is what is going on. But when you say it, they say, don't say, in your studio, you can ask
Michael, you mean?
Michael, you can ask Anajiman.
Right.
Prior to the team being announced, I raised these issues about Joseph Schlupp and Jeffrey Schlupp and Joe Pencil because I heard they were going to be dropped, come what may. I raised it in your studio. Who in his right mind? Which coach in his right mind? Which coach who is not on drugs will take such a decision? But it was taken with complicity.
Okay, Kojo.
And like you said, when you mention it, when you talk about it, then you are branded. Look, some of us, we are simply supporters. I'm a retired politician. I just watch football for sport. I watch every league. I watch everything. So I know players who are informed and those who aren't. And if I know them, why don't the coaches know them?
All right, Kojo.
As we speak, I've also heard that there are plans to hand over the team to another person who has never coached any team, George Watson.
Really?
That's another mistake that's about to happen.
Wow.
Meanwhile, Chris Hughton is there with a track record of having managed teams like Spurs and Brighton, but they are about to hand the team to George Watson. Why? Because somebody somewhere wants to be able to, a coach who can be manipulated. So we've gone from a disaster called Otuado to another impending disaster called George Watson. So come AFCON 2024, after AFCON 2024, when we go and have another disaster, we will come to your studio and have the same discussion over again.
Okay, Kojo.
Because
Kojo, thank you.
somebody somewhere doesn't want a coach like Chris Hughton who will tell you that, please, don't give me any players.
Okay. All right.
We all knew that Isahaku was not going to play a part in the team.
Okay.
Why didn't we take Joseph Benson?
Okay.
Why did we leave our best left-sided player, a player who has played 268 times in the Premier League?
I totally understand
you.
you. Yes, I totally understand you, Kojo. It didn't make sense, and it doesn't make sense as well. I mean, anyway, Kojo, thank you so very much for accepting to talk to us this morning.
Thank you, too. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very grateful.
Sure. Kojo Shumbafo is former chief executive officer of the Ghana Freezers, but he's a sports enthusiast. He loves the Black Stars. He loves soccer. And so, we decided to talk to him this morning to just pick his thoughts on what he makes of the Black Stars campaign in QATAR.